What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Corner Wrestling Radio, the C2C radio show. We're live. We're on Spreaker.com/corner2corner, C2CRadioshow.com, and of course, all of your favorite podcast distribution hubs, including Apple, Amazon, Google Play, Spotify. Gosh, there's a whole iHeartRadio. We're on iHeartRadio now. So, I'm Stan Grubb. My tag team partners, Brian Taylor, is here.
Yeah, what's going on?
What's up, buddy? Did you survive the marathon that was Forbidden Door?
Yeah, I'm here, right?
Yep. So you're still in one piece. You're still moving. And
yep.
The third member of the Triple Threat, Rob Hefner, is here.
What's up?
What's up, Rob? How you doing, man?
Doing all right. I missed the last match on Forbidden Door, but I watched pretty much everything else.
Man, it was quite a show. We're going to be spending quite a bit of time talking about Forbidden Door because we have got just a whole crap ton of stuff to talk about. I mean, the show itself was, Brian, I don't know if I got this wrong, 4.5 hours?
I don't know. I didn't time it.
Didn't time it. Okay. Well, counting the pre-show, which started at 7, and there were 4 matches on the pre-show, this was a jam-packed event. So many parts of this show were just amazing. And we are going to talk a lot about that. I only had a couple moments that really was kind of like, don't know what to make of it. Nothing bad. I don't really know that we had a bad match on this show. But we're talking, of course, about Forbidden Door 2, which was last night. Just everything from Danielson against Okada to the BCC against the Elite. Of course, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP US title. Sonata versus Jungle Boy, and all kinds of other action. We're going to go through it. Let's do the run-through of 0 Hour. It starts off with Chaos and El Desperado against the Mogul Embassy. I caught the last few minutes of this match. I got to it just a little bit late, but I say again, Toa Leona and Bishop Khan, if they're not tag team champions in the near future, either Ring of Honor or AEW, I'll be very, very surprised.
Were they not? No, I guess they weren't ROH champs.
6 champs right now.
Yeah, I know they're 6, man, but I wasn't sure if they were tag champs.
There's such a cool mix. It's kind of like watching like a combination of like the Authors of Pain and the Samoan SWAT team, kind of a mix of that. They're just brutes in the ring. They just throw people around. It's amazing.
Amazing, you say?
Amazing. That's
amazing. Oh, please don't yell. Your mic is jaked.
That was very amazing.
That's better. You're going to give me a headache.
That's just creepy.
I don't know why suddenly the mic is that sensitive. Past weeks, you guys have told me you could hardly hear me, so maybe it's working overtime. I don't know.
You gotta.
Let's see. Try to look at some bullet points here. El Desperado seemed like he was well suited. I mean, I was interested in watching all the action in the ring. It was a very fast match. Trent Beretta was just all over the place. I mean, this was indicative of the way this show was going to go. Very fast paced, and very much keeping you looking around the entire screen. You can sometimes focus on one part of the action, just like you would in like a Royal Rumble or Battle Royal. But these matches, man, they were fast paced for sure. And of course, we got the obligatory best friends hug right there in the middle of the ring. Although El Desperado did not want a hug. He did not seem very comfortable with
that. Who's a hugger, right? That was Bailey's gimmick. Nobody likes hugs.
Very unique type of person that likes hugs, I guess.
I guess. I'm not a hugger.
What about you,
I
Rob?
do.
You a hugger?
Depends on who it is. If I like them, yes.
That's fair. That's fair.
If I don't like them, then I don't want to even be in the same room.
The end of this match came where Rocky Romero is basically just sitting up for what seemed like an eternity, waiting for the double stomp, which Swerve executed pretty well. Gets the 1-2-3. The Mogul Embassy comes away, starting us off. Forbidden Door 2. I mean, like I said, I caught the last half of this match, I guess, but good way to start the show.
Okay.
Billy Starks and Athena was next in the Owen Hart Cup. Billy Starks, 18 years old, and I thought she was very impressive against Athena. There were a couple moments where I felt like maybe she was going to pull off the upset, but was not to be. Athena, the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, comes out on top, advancing to the semis of the Owen Hart Cup, the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament.
Right.
I don't. No, it's okay.
I don't know. I don't know what we're doing.
I'm scrolling through bullet points here. So, all right. So this was the part of 0 Hour that I really enjoyed. El Phantasma ELP against Stu Grayson. I think ELP has one of the best freaking finishers I've ever seen. That it's like a modified like pedigree kind of thing. I don't even know how to describe it. It almost looked like the Strong Zero or Stormbreaker. Sorry, Stormbreaker. I'm still learning a lot of these moves, but it was a damn good match between both of them. These guys were all over the place. There was just 450s. There was all kinds of strikes. I really enjoyed this, and it really speaks to just how good Stu Grayson is as well.
Well, I think Stu should probably be on the main roster full time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming he's ROH. But
yeah, I missed the part where Stu Grayson had actually broke away from the Dark Order. They showed a clip of that as they were getting ready for this match. Unbeknownst to me.
yeah, I didn't catch it either.
So, question about ELP, Brian. Have you watched a lot of his stuff?
Nope.
No. Okay. So I was in the dark on this. It seemed to me like he was supposed to be under a mask, or was he under a mask at some point? Like that question kind of stuck out to me.
Don't know. Maybe cage whatever. Cage.net. Yeah.
Let's go to cagematch.net. Let's see what cagematch.net says about ELP. ELP. Apparently, the ring music that ELP came to the ring with was the wrong music. He said that whoever was running music last night didn't have his stuff. Not a single thing for El Phantasma.
Then it never happened.
He's out of... he's Canadian from Vancouver, actually. Let's see here. It doesn't say anything about him having a mask before, so I guess that's just been the name that he's been going by. Apparently he was part of the Bullet Club at one point.
Mm-hmm. He was Bullet Club last year with them, I think.
Yeah, from what they were talking about during commentary, it sounded like David Finlay had kicked him out of the group. Or beaten him out of the group, so to speak.
I see.
Closing out 0 Hour was United Empire versus Los Ingobernables de Japón. We got pretty back and forth action here. I honestly thought the United Empire was going to take this one, but turns out that wasn't to be. We got Los Ingobernables with the win. There was all kinds of high spots in this match. Oh, and I have a note here. TJP, this is something I mentioned last night. TJP now has been on New Japan, AEW, Impact, and WWE pay-per-views. That's a pretty cool little metric or stat.
Yeah, but he's not the only one, though, right?
No, definitely not. It just jumped off the page to me. I just kind of recognized it. Let's see here. Of course, if look at Sting, he's been in WWE, WCW, TNA, New Japan, WWA, of course AEW, and I feel like I'm forgetting a company. I guess you could say NWA because it's a secondary or second company.
What?
NWA.
The NWA?
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Because, no. Yeah, you're right. Because it would have been NWA before WCW, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been Mid-Atlantic, Jim Crockett, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. JCP. All right, so that closes out 0 Hour, where we get to the official beginning of the pay-per-view, which this actually kind of surprised me that they started off with this, but it's definitely a good match. Got the crowd involved. MJF defended the AEW title against Hiroshi Tanahashi. This one was actually a lot of fun. I really like what MJF is doing. He's just building that resume on his reign of terror, as he likes to call it. I think he's the. I joked about it last night. He's like the Marty McFly of AEW. He'll run away and he'll cower out, and then suddenly someone calls him a coward. Next thing you know, nobody calls me chicken. He runs back to the ring. I think that's something they continue to exploit. It just makes me laugh.
What are you talking about, like the Toronto crowd getting into it like that?
Yeah, I mean, the Toronto crowd kind of, calls him coward. I think it was actually Tanahashi that led them when he powdered out. Starts chanting coward, and the crowd gets behind him, of course. So he gets almost to the top of the ramp before they finally start chanting it at him, and then he runs back into the ring because he's pissed off that they're calling him a coward.
Yeah, but that's what a good heel does. Plays the crowd.
Is just like a textbook villain.
Maybe for the modern era, I guess. I guess he would have worked back then too. Maybe he's just an ass.
He comes out to the ring, of course, before the match begins. He comes out to the ring in his robe, and on the back of the robe it says New Japan is an indie.
What is the background noise? You hear?
No.
Who?
I don't know. Somebody's got the TV up loud or something. Way too loud. In a minute, I'll be able to figure out what the TV program is. All right. So, yeah, I mean, MJF's just an ass. He's a good ass. Or he's good at being an ass. I guess that's better.
They made a comment during the match that Tanahashi has decades of experience. Is it over 20 years that Tanahashi's been active?
Cagematch.net. Yeah.
I guess that's our version of going to the videotape.
Yeah, it's a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I wouldn't know.
Have you ever looked it up, Brian?
Looked what up?
Cage match dot whatever.
No, I don't ask the pointed questions like Stan does. But he asked him, and like I don't know. I don't know how long Tanahashi's been at it. I know his legs look like he's probably been at it 20 years, but
Yeah. That's kind of why I was mentioning it. I was watching him, especially when he went after the sling blade. Man, it just made me. I almost worried that he was going to hurt his knees because he hits it, but he only hits it but about halfway and just kind of falls. Thankfully, MJF is able to. He just basically does a flat back and just lands, but it seems to me like 23 years in the industry, he's probably coming towards closer and closer towards the end of it. Unless he decides to be kind of like Muda, just keep going until he absolutely decides to stop.
yeah, I mean, he looked rough last year. I think he looks just as rough this year. So it might be a good idea to think about winding down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the spots were very like set up, you know. It was like okay, but I agree with y'all.
I liked the spot with the abdominal stretch where the ref is counting, going for the obligatory 5 count because MJF's got his hand on the rope and only got to 2, and MJF just looks at him and says, "What are you gonna do about it, dipshit?" And Bryce Remsburg kind of looks around and goes, "All right," and then kicks his hand off the rope. It's good to see every now and again the referees, not just be the normal stereotypical referee.
Right.
Well, isn't that what some fans want, though?
Yeah, some fans seem to think that the referees like Aubrey Edwards and Bryce Remsburg try to make it about them too much. I don't necessarily see it that way. I feel like, especially in AEW, but I think it's just pro wrestling in general, referees end up getting played like idiots, and they don't ever seem to do anything to really dissuade that thought process. But every now and again, you get a moment, kind of like when we used to get with Earl Hebner, when he had finally been pushed too much and he would push back. We saw it a lot with him and Triple H back in the day. But I think there's moments like that can have some merit, some power, so to speak.
I mean, I think there's times where it's appropriate, and I think there's times where I'm one of those. I think Aubrey goes over the top sometimes, you know. But hey, that's just my opinion. But I mean, I also think, how many times do we see the refs are just vanilla and sit there, and you're like, come on now, what are you even in there for? And so it's nice to see him every once in a while stand up and be like, this is what we're doing. So, but what about you, Brian?
Do I? What about me? What?
How do you feel about the refs?
Why do I need to feel anything about the refs? It's your point. Your point, Rob. Your point.
Wanna what?
MJF comes out with the win after getting one over on the referee, and Tanahashi's nailing him with the Dynamite Diamond Ring to the head. Gets the 1, 2, 3. Comments that Tanahashi's a joke, and then only a few minutes afterwards on Twitter, MJF posts a video where he says he's out, he's done his work, and he'll never be back.
What do you have on his elbow pads?
I don't know. MJF's elbow pads.
Yeah, we tried I know Brian was trying to read them, but I couldn't figure them out.
Let's see here. Give me a second to track that down.
I mean, good luck if somebody had that up. They might have, I guess.
Yeah, all I've got here so far is just pictures of of posters, match posters here.
Let's say MJF. Let's see. MJF elbow pad. Good.
I really didn't mean for y'all to go looking that hard for it.
Well, now I'm curious. Now I really want to know.
Well, didn't you DVR the thing?
I did.
It.
I did.
What I see, it says Twitter.com said one day ago, MJF's elbow pad says Ace's ass.
Well, there you go. New Japan's an indie and Ace's ass. I just think he goes out of his way to make sure he finds a way to get under the skin of fans, and he definitely enjoys making fun of all of the New Japan fans, especially.
Well, I mean, they don't get to see him like we do. So
No, that's true.
you got to take every opportunity you can at him. All right, what's up? You killed me. Dead time.
So next up we had Satoshi Kohima, versus CM Punk in the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament. CM Punk got booed out of the building when he comes out to his entrance, but during the match it seemed like it was kind of a split crowd. So it seems like he's enjoying walking that fine line. I thought it was pretty damn good.
What, the match or the boo?
How he handled it for one, but also I thought the match was pretty good
too. Hopefully he would know to play the crowd if you get that reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be interesting to see because I think they're in Canada for a few more days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See if he gets it the other places.
He seemed to enjoy it, actually. You know, he just came out, smiled. He's like, "Yep."
I mean, I thought at one point he was he even played it up so well where he did the Hulk Hogan hand to the ear, and then even hits the leg drop. I thought the commentator's reaction was pretty good. They're like, did he just do the leg drop? It's like I guess they can't say Hulk Hogan's name on pay-per-view. Maybe it's
why
trademarked?
Would you? Well, I mean, the ones you had there wouldn't have said it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like your Tony Schiavone or Jim Ross might have, but at that point you didn't have Tony Schiavone out there.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point we had Kevin Kelly, we had Taz, and we had
Excalibur.
Yeah, Excalibur. They were. It seemed like, and I noticed it during this match and a couple others. It seemed like Excalibur was kind of a half step behind Kevin Kelly and Taz, and then Schiavone later in the night. I'm wondering if he had a lot of direction going into his headset while all that was going on.
There's only so much room in that mask.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he's got a tight mask. The ear thing, like, you can't take it out of his ear. You know, it's all risky. It's hard.
Yeah, that's that's true, Rob.
Well, I mean, this was a hard-hitting match, so from a distance, the New Japan guy didn't look that old, but then they zoomed in on him. You're like, "Ooh, this guy's old."
Yeah, Kojima, 31 years. 31 years in the business.
That's quite a long time.
Yeah, that's insane. Of course, Kojima famous for his lariats. So Punk gets him in the corner and starts firing in the repeated short arm clotheslines in an attempt to mock Kojima. Gets the crowd just booing the hell out of him. They start going off with chops. I thought Kojima was going to cave Punk's chest in with some of those chops. Good lord. Some of the oh, go ahead.
Well, I think that one was quite like everything they did looked like it was thrown in there.
Oh yeah, they were definitely laying it in. There was some pretty snug shots there. When he hit the Anaconda Vice, by the way, and locked that in, I thought he had his elbow or somehow tucked into his chin. That looked like it would hurt like hell.
Well, I mean, I think I told Brian, and Brian we told each other several times, like they're gonna feel that in the morning.
Oh yeah. This felt like one of those pay-per-views where they all got together and said, "All right, well, we're just gonna beat the shit out of each other, leave it all in the ring."
Well, I do feel like a lot of them, I feel like some of the matches, the New Japan people were slowing it down for the AEW guys, and it was like kind of messing them up to a point. Like some of the spots looked off just because they're used to their opponent being a little faster, I guess I would say. And some of the AEW guys didn't really move as fast as I would think they would. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difference of styles, and I also think that they are slowing it down a half tick or so to kind of let the crowd register what's being done to get that reaction, because in Japan the reaction is different than with what we do, or what we see rather, on a regular basis. We react move by move versus New Japan. They kind of let it build and let it build and let it build, and then finally, that big spot, that hope spot or the high spot, whatever the case may be, it happens, and then that's when the crowd just boom, they go off. It's a ride for New Japan versus the full experience in the U.S. CM Punk comes away with the victory, beats Kojima, shakes his hand after the fact. And like I said, the initial parts of the match, Punk's getting booed out of the building. Throughout the match, they're kind of going back and forth, and by the end, I won't say the crowd was solidly behind him, but they definitely appreciated the show of sportsmanship and respect from Punk to Kojima. I would like to actually see them do this again. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch.
I don't know. I don't know if I need a rematch.
Yeah. Would you consider Kojima kind of moving as, I don't want to say slow, but just moving a little bit off like Tanahashi may have been?
I don't think it was that off. It was an okay match for me. It wasn't nothing earth-shattering. I mean, it was okay. For me, it was okay.
But yeah.
Next up is the Fatal 4-Way for the AEW International Championship. Orange Cassidy defending against the Ring of Honor Pure Champion Shibata, Daniel Garcia, and the New Japan New Japan World TV Champion Zack Sabre Jr. Man, this match, I really like Orange Cassidy, what he's doing. I'm a big fan of Zack Sabre Jr. too. It felt at first like they weren't really on the same page, but that just seemed more like they were trying to feel out each other and feel out the crowd, what they wanted to do. And the next thing we know, it was on. And we had just a pretty steady focus. I liked a lot of what we saw. I thought it was funny where Garcia keeps trying to get in the mix early on, and they keep pushing him away. And then finally he gets involved, starts doing his dance, and they chop him, backs him off a little bit. He starts to dance again, and they chop him again. There were a lot of those dueling chop spots, during a lot of these matches last night.
Especially the Punk one. I thought that dude was going to slap Punk's chest through his back.
Yeah.
Well, there's more of that goes on over in Japan, so they get brutal over there.
Yeah. Shibata and Zack Sabre Jr. were just putting on a nice exchange of moves, trading holds. Finally, we get what appeared to be a nice little submission from Zack Sabre Jr., but it's Orange Cassidy that ends up getting into the ring and stealing the win, stealing a pin on Shibata. I was very, very much enjoyed this match. Very, 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 very.
I could have done without what's his name, Garcia.
Yeah, he did kind of stick out like a sore thumb compared to the other three.
I thought he was he felt like a last minute ad, and then while everybody else was moving, he was trying too hard to put his little stuff in, you know? Like his whole dancing thing is just weird.
Did either one of you catch his promo before the show started?
Mm-mm.
They had a nice little, the kind of those cinematic promos that they'll shoot where they're in some random office kind of location and they're just sitting down talking to the camera about the matches coming up. They're not really being interviewed by a specific person. He's there and he's talking about it. And he mentions, how everybody wants to tell him who he is. Like he's a wrestler or he's a sports entertainer and he needs to do this and he needs to do that. I feel like, to Rob's point, he's trying to force so many of those things in. It does kind of take away from his performance.
I don't think he's trying to. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to be a sports entertainer, but that's part of the storyline, right?
Right. Part of his Jericho Appreciation Society stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'll come to an end. I think Sammy will leave, and then the rest of them will start to leave.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy now with 26 title defenses in 2023 for the international title.
He still sucks, but good for him.
What? Come on. He doesn't suck. Don't say that.
Put him in the ring with Shibata.
Okay, now a one-on-one between him and Shibata. I think Shibata would own him. I'll give you that. But that's Shibata. I mean, you're not getting away from that.
Even Zach.
Put him in there with Ospreay.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind Ospreay would fuck him up. I like Orange Cassidy, but Ospreay, especially after last night, he was on another level. Oh, let's see. Like I said, Cassidy comes off with a win, and then we get to the IWGP World Championship match. Sonata defending against Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Match contested under IWGP rules. Red Shoes was the referee for this. Did I see that correctly? Mm-hmm. That was cool to see him. As expected, Sonata had this match well in hand. I don't think there was ever a moment where I thought, wow, Jungle Boy might actually win this. It was...
Dude, if at any point you thought Jungle Boy would win it.
I guess the story that comes out of this match isn't the match itself or even Jungle Boy having a standout performance or a poor performance. It was really what happened afterwards. After Jungle Boy loses, With the end of this match, by the way, seemed kind of sudden and abrupt. He hit the moonsault, and that was it. It seemed like there was more to come, but they just decided to just take it home then. I'm wondering if maybe they were going over on time.
I didn't feel like it was rushed.
Okay.
I mean, I
of
think
course,
it was just the
I
way.
wasn't really paying attention after a while anyway. But
Well, I mean, it's kind of. Honestly, I felt bad for the IWGP World Title holder because, like, you have one of the most prestigious world titles in the game, and here you are against Jungle Boy Jack Perry, which nothing taking away Jungle Boy. I just don't feel like he's on the level of a world title holder. Like, has even gotten a TNT title shot. You know, like, and so that's where I was at. I was telling Brian, like, I just felt like the whole time, I'm like, what? I just feel like, you know, when you watch something and you're like, you're not supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be mean or take anything away from him. It just, I didn't feel like the timing was right. And then I felt at the end, I mean, what's that do? What's him hitting Hook? All that does is set up their feud for down the road, but it makes no sense.
Yeah, and that's the story I was talking about that comes out of this whole thing is Perry finally turns heel, decks Hook, and Taz, of course, is holy shit on commentary. You know, he's pissed off. The fans are chanting "You effed up." Taz reacts, "Oh, you sure did." He finally has to step away. He's so disgusted by it. So we go from Jungle Boy challenging for a world title to now he's gonna go. I guess he's gonna settle for the FTW title.
yeah, but like again, there's why are we so worried about Jungle Boy and the world title? He wasn't going to win it. It was just probably, well, I got nothing to do with this guy, and I got nothing to do with this guy, or somebody was like, I'll wrestle Jungle Boy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was all to. At the end of the day, that was the only real takeaway was setting up what you call it the Hook thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all it was meant to do anyway.
Well, mission accomplished, I guess.
Because I mean, realistically, nobody should have thought he was going to win that title.
Maybe an off chance that happens, but even then, it would have been, to quote you, shenanigans.
Really? Honestly, did you actually think he would have won?
No, again with wrestling, it's of course never say never, but no, I did not think it was likely. As a matter of fact, I think within all the different predictions, I don't think anybody predicted Jack Perry at all.
Yeah, I mean, even if Sonata like broken ankle, he's still walking out of there with that title. Like,
Right.
that title is not changing hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only way Jungle Boy would walk out of the belt if he was holding it for him. You know, here, Jungle Boy, hold this belt so I can carry my bag.
Right.
So
we get from Jungle Boy making the turn on Hook to the Blackpool Combat Club, Takeshita and Shota Umino against the Elite, Eddie Kingston and Ishii. You know, multi-man tag matches can be one of two things. They can be a complete Pier 6 brawl, or they can be just tedious to watch sometimes. This match was neither one of those things. This thing was a lot of things happening at the same time, but it kept you watching the entire time. There wasn't a point of this match where I felt it was dragging on. I was really, really enjoying this matchup. You had Eddie Kingston and Mox with their confrontation, which I thought was great.
I'm not like, what was the whole point of Eddie saving him though?
I don't know. That seemed way ill-timed, especially since they spent so much of that time chopping the piss out of each other. And then suddenly he's like, "No, you can't super kick him in the face."
Yeah, that was kind of bewildering to me.
Lots and lots and lots of spots, high spots here. We had the shooting star press from top rope, from the apron. Hangman Page hits it on Yuta while the Bucks are holding him. We had, while Eddie Kingston and Mox were chopping the hell out of each other, just multiple different dives happening, going to the outside of the ring. Claudio hits the giant swing on one of the Jacksons. I think it was Matt. Then Yuta hits a drop kick to the side of his head. That was pretty cool. We finally get the end where Ishii hits a huge lariat, just decks Yuta with it, and then gets the brainbuster for the win.
I mean, you had to know the Elite was going to win.
I don't feel like this feud is over yet, though. I think we're still going to get this over to Blood and Guts.
Yeah,
What,
I mean,
the Blackpool and the Elite?
Yeah.
Nah, yeah, I think you get a Blood and Guts. If they're smart.
I feel like it's like the old school, Horseman versus Dusty and his counterparts, or the Road Warriors. It's going to be one of those that it'll die down for a little bit, but then it'll just pick back up, and it'll be one of those things that they can pick up when they don't have something else going on. They're like, hey guys, we don't really have an angle right now, so let's just let you all fight. And like I felt the Young Bucks, wrestled in a way that they had wrestled in a few months. Like they were at the level they were when they were in Japan. I think is like you can tell everybody in that match had wrestled in Japan at some point. Because like they all had that certain speed that they can move and go and grew, and it wasn't as awkward as other matches.
Yeah, I feel like everybody kind of came out of this match looking better. I mean, Ishii is always fun to watch. Takeshita had some really, really great moments, just really being dominant. I didn't realize he was actually as strong as he is, just kind of throwing people around.
Well, look at that one forearm to Ishii's face.
Yeah.
Thought he knocked him out.
So there's a moment there where Ishii is standing on the apron, and he's not paying attention. Like, he's not ready to tag or anything like that. He's just kind of standing there, and Takeshita just levels him with a rolling forearm right to the jaw. Out he goes. He hits the apron and then rolls to the floor. He was out, and that was this was about a 20-minute match. I want to say he was out of it for a good 5 minutes of that match.
That forearm was so good, Brian had to stop and rewind, and we watched it again.
Yeah, I watched it a couple times too. I was like, "Oh my god!" Just the shot, and it's just very hard hitting. The strong style really came out in this match.
Well, I mean, again, it's like y'all said, they've all been there, so I think that was the running theme of the night, though.
Yeah.
To wrestle more of that style of match.
So, like we said, Eddie Kingston, Ishii, and the Elite, they come off with the victory. We'll see what happens next on Dynamite, BTE today. I don't know if you saw it, Brian and Rob, but didn't really set anything further, but they did pay specific attention to Kenny Omega's match, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Before that, though, we get to the AEW Women's Championship as Toni Storm defends against New Japan Strong Women's Champion Willow Nightingale. It was an okay match, I guess. gets a little tiresome seeing the bad guys do the run in. I feel like that happens all the time with Tony Storm now. So, sooner or later, it's probably going to build towards either Britt or maybe Jamie Hayter when she comes back, getting a rematch and winning the title. But nothing really out of the ordinary on this one. It just was. Oh well, nope. I take that back. We did get Tony Storm with apparently another broken nose.
Did she have one before?
She's had 2 broken noses prior to this. The both of them have been fairly minor. I want to say the first match she had with Britt Baker, she caught an elbow, broke her nose. The match with Hayter, she caught a stray knee that popped her right in the nose, just right on that spot that made her bleed all over the place. And then this one, I don't even know if it was I think it might have actually been the hip attack that Willow did, and it just caught her on that right spot of the face, and her nose said nope, and that was it. There was blood everywhere. It was gross. Let's see. Again, this match really wasn't awful or anything like that, but it just was nothing else really stood out for me. I don't unless you guys got something, we'll just keep it moving.
No, just how close we came to getting Tony Storm and Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did think about that during this match. If only Mercedes hadn't hurt her ankle, we could have had. Who knows what kind of match it would have been, but we know it would have been good.
Mm-hmm. True that.
Get well soon, Miss Mercedes Monet, whatever.
So
Go ahead.
So did she lose her New Japan Women's title or just this title? Or are they the same thing?
You talking about Mercedes?
Yeah.
Yeah, she lost the title to Willow.
Well, it was a different belt.
Oh yeah,
Like
she did
was...
lose the. I follow. Yeah, the New Japan Strong Women's Championship is different than the New Japan Women's Championship. Mercedes lost the New Japan one to I don't remember the woman's name, and then she lost in the finals of the New Japan Strong tournament to Willow because of the injury.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That explains it. No, I'm back to what you're saying.
Next up is the IWGP United States Championship match. Kenny Omega defending against Will Ospreay. The last time these guys tangled was in January at Wrestle Kingdom, and that match, as they said on commentary, was all Omega. Omega was just brutal. Now, I recall Ospreay wrestling that match with a hurt shoulder. We get into this matchup, however, and, Ospreay was on a whole nother level. I said it earlier tonight. I mean, Will Ospreay was just wrestling. He had just a different kind of approach to it. It wasn't the Will Ospreay versus Ricochet you might expect. No, this was a lot more calculating. I mean, he was a lot more pinpointed, and then he just beat the dog snot out of Kenny Omega on the outside of the ring, smashing his head into the table like 3 or 4 times. And then he basically jars his head through the top covering of the table. That looked like it hurt like hell.
Oh, at the announce table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very hard hitting. I mean, there was times that you're like, all right, how? Like there was one move that I looked at Brian and I was like, how does that not hurt your shoulder? And he goes, shoulder? How about your leg or your knee? You know, like there's just moves. It's like average people, you'll feel that in the morning. Them probably like, all right, we can keep going. You know, I mean, it was just remarkable. The match I thought it went well. And I made the mistake of telling Brian right before it started. I was like, "Oh, well, I'll leave right after this because I had to get up and get to work this morning." And then I was like, "Oh," and then it went an hour almost.
Yeah. I've only watched the first match between Omega and Ospreay a couple of times, and this match was so completely different. It was very back and forth. I said it earlier. They beat the shit out of each other. There was a crazy shooting star press that Ospreay hit on Omega as he's draped on the top rope, which there's nobody else that can do that outside of maybe Ricochet that pull that off with that kind of accuracy.
But to the what are you talking about? From the corner Omega, to the outside?
So he drapes Omega on the rope. Remember, he kind of does a stun gun kind of thing, only he just puts him gut first on the rope, top rope, and then goes to the top rope and hits a shooting star press. And the way he hits it in such a way that Omega takes the brunt of the impact on the legs and just comes flopping back into the ring. It was a really nicely timed move.
I just kind of got a little confused there. So, on what you said, that's all.
I feel like this was a real. Gosh, I'm gonna say this, and it's not even gonna sound fair. This is one of those matches that puts somebody on the map, solidifies their kind of like their legacy. If you ever had a question about the ability of a guy like Will Ospreay, because I know that a lot of people have seen, there's a very much deserving viral matches with him and Ricochet. This match was just a whole nother version of Will Ospreay, and it really, really shined. I mean, Don Callis is at ringside, but it doesn't even matter because, well, maybe not till towards the end, because I mean you're just watching these two beat the shit out of each other. They're putting each other up against the barricade. They're throwing each other into the steps. I mean, it went an hour, but it didn't feel like it went an hour. It was very fast.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it was very fast. I thought it was hard hitting. I'm always get excited for a chance to watch Will Ospreay. He's one of those I kind of wish would come stateside to be able to wrestle more often. But then it's like, would it get like, would you be like, oh, it's just Will Ospreay, So when he does come, it's like, cool. But I remember watching his matches with Ricochet and then his matches with the Kenny Omega matches, and so it's like it was fun to actually watch it. Man bleeds like a stuffed pig. Like that stuff looked like neon red. It was weird looking, I thought. Almost orange.
Yeah, there was a spot on the outside of the ring. Omega puts the steps on the side and climbs up with Will Ospreay and straight out of Jake Roberts' playbook, including the swirl of the finger, hits a DDT on the top there. It was vicious. And when Ospreay comes up, there's just, like Rob said, it's just glowing, coming out of his face, coming out of his forehead. The puddle formed on the outside mat really fast.
Yeah, I mean, when he turned the steps upside on its side, and you just watch the blood trickle down through the diamond plate. It's like, ooh, what is that? Mm-hmm. And then the move he did, I'm going, all right, how does that not hurt both of you?
What was that? It was the Tiger Driver 91. Omega gets hoisted up and dropped, and the move itself. This is the way you're actually supposed to land, at least from what I've seen it in the past. But I can say that Omega is not injured as far as like a broken neck or anything, but I still don't understand how, because that move. It happens so quickly and it's delivered really rough in appearance, and Omega just kind of comes down, and it almost looked like it was on the top of his head, but really was more towards the back of his head, back of his neck kind of thing. But either way, it was a sick looking move.
Did they say who else has used that move?
Tiger Driver 91. Let me just look it up.
I mean, if
know
it's named.
Tyler Bate has done it before. Let's see here. Misawa from back in the early 90s, he used to use it. Let's see here. Kawada used to use it. All of the for all of you Puroso, hopefully I'm pronouncing that properly. Fans, all of you New Japan fans, seeing it last night was probably like, yeah, see, that's how it's supposed to be done. There's probably a reason it's not done very often, and not done by very many people, because it made me wince. I honestly thought for a moment, I was like, man, Kenny Omega, he's either dead or he's paralyzed. Because for a second, he's just laying there, and there's no motion at all. How he kicks out, how he has the wherewithal to remember to move at all, is beyond me. It just speaks to the conditioning of these guys. Let's see. DDT. Okay, so we get a couple of spots here that had the fans had him really screaming at Ospreay. One where he hits the crippler crossface. He puts the crippler crossface on Omega, where the fans start chanting, "You sick fuck." Then we also get a chant where they call Will Ospreay still a wanker. I don't know where that came from. I assume that's a New Japan thing.
It's British.
Well, no, I know that, but I mean the chant itself. Like, did that start with him over in the UK, or did it start with him in New Japan?
I don't know. But they're probably because he's a wanker.
Yeah.
You can always rely on you to tell us like it is. That's what matters the most.
Well, but again, how would I know where it started? I don't. That could have started in England. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he could have just been a bloody wanker from England. I think that's more derogatory. You throw the bloody in there.
It's a bloody wanker. There you go. Let's see. Don Callis gets ejected from ringside in the middle of this match, and this is the only part of this match that really annoyed the shit out of me. So Callis gets ejected. You still have his security down there. Why, I don't know. They did nothing. But they're still down there. But Callis gets ejected. But towards the end of the match, Callis comes back. And the referee doesn't eject him again. Just, okay, he's here. You just ejected this guy. Why is he back here?
Right.
Why are you not saying something? Speaks to the...
And then let me have something in my pants. Maybe you shouldn't wear tight pants if you're going to put something in your pocket.
Yeah, really. How hard is it to get a screwdriver out of your pants? Good Lord.
I don't know. You normally keep them in your pants? I don't usually keep them in my pants.
Not last I checked.
No, I mean, it could be hard then. You don't know.
It's a fair point. Maybe I'll send a message to Don Callis. Hey, man, how come you had such a hard time getting the screwdriver out of your pants?
And I'm sure he'll reply to you.
He'll just block me. That's what he does to everybody else. Let's see here. Omega gets ready for the one-winged angel. Ospreay hits him in the head with the screwdrivers. The referee couldn't see it. Gets the cover. Kenny Omega kicks out at 1, and the crowd goes bananas. Just batshit crazy. Everybody's on their feet. It's been 35 minutes at this point, maybe even 40 minutes, and the crowd is just ridiculous. Over the top for Kenny Omega. Omega mounts a comeback, and it's like it really kind of reminds me of just some of those epics that we've seen with Omega and Okada. It just had that same kind of vibe. The match finish happens. Stormbreaker, which is again looks like an awesome finish. I really like seeing that. Omega loses to Will Ospreay. We got a new IWGP US champion, and definitely, in my opinion, match of the night, but maybe even match of the year. Maybe even without a very close second kind of thing. And that's the name of that tune.
I was like, did you ask a question? I'm sorry.
No. I was not asking a question. So no match that follows that one is going to have an easy time. We already know this. I mean, you just had, like I said, match of the year, match of the night. Many people are going to qualify it as one of the greatest matches of both of their careers, and I would agree. But knowing that the way you did, go in.
I'll give you match of the night.
Okay. So you wouldn't agree that it's the match of the year?
I don't think so, because there's been others.
Okay.
So, I mean, Danielson's put on some bangers, too.
Yes.
No, I definitely would not say that was the match of Omega's career. Because Omega and Okada far eclipses that one.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair thought. I can't disagree with you there. I mean, Omega and Okada is one of those legacy-defining feuds, much less matches.
Oh, and I mean, I will say this as a guy who hasn't watched that much New Japan, like, I would take the opinion of Brian as the resident New Japan aficionado. When it comes to all things Kenny Omega.
No.
I mean, I have to agree with Rob. I think you know it a hell of a lot better than we do.
No, just because I watch it sometimes.
That's that double stamp, no racy.
So, you knew that the next match, the 6-man tag, was going to be a tough road to hoe to get the crowd back into it. You had Sting, Darby Allin, and Naito against Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki. Certainly my least favorite match of the night. The match itself, if you want to call it a match, it just seemed very disorganized. I was very confused as to the ending and how it came about. There's a point where Guevara hits I think he hits it's the 630 that he hits on Sting through the table, but he doesn't really hit Sting. Sting tries to sit up, but he's just way too close to the ring. I think that was a problem. I think that's where it went wrong. He's lucky he didn't get injured there, but to put the icing on the cake, he has another shot where Guevara goes for that cutter, that leaping cutter, and basically lands on the back of Sting's head. We're lucky to see Sting continue to perform, and most likely at the end of this year he'll be done. But this match was rough to watch.
That's been said how many years now?
That's a fair point.
But I will say he's also taking a lot risk that he doesn't necessarily, I guess, need to take. But I didn't see it. I thought the only match left was Bryan Danielson, actually. But I had to go to bed, so.
Anything to add on the 6-man, Brian?
I mean, I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was that bad. That's about it.
Alrighty. The end of this match comes where Naito picks up the victory. It wasn't, like I said, it was kind of disjointed for me, but oh well. It wasn't an easy. There's no easy way to follow Omega against Ospreay. Period. There's no way. So after what we had just seen, they could have had, a classic by whoever's standards, and I think it still would have fallen into question because the audience was kind of coming down off of that high. So we get to the main event, Danielson and Okada. Well, we finally get our opportunity to hear the final countdown for Bryan Danielson. When I say the crowd exploded, that's an understatement. That was a really, really loud pop just for the entrance music.
And that was his music when?
Basically during his Ring of Honor days, his Dragon Gate days, pretty much all of his time before he came to WWE in 2010.
Got to make sure you fill in the blanks there.
Now, a big part of the reason that he hadn't used Final Countdown when he went to AEW is the cost of licensing the song. Europe, of course, is the group that made that song, or that wrote that song, and the cost of licensing that song as of a year and a half ago when Danielson debuted was $10,000 per play. So $10,000 to play it going to the ring, and if he wins, playing it again is another $10,000. News broke Saturday evening-ish that Europe had actually negotiated to sell the rights to the song to a third party, and there started to become some rumblings that the Final Countdown might actually be secured to play for Danielson. We didn't get anything confirmed, even all the way up through to Showtime, and then the music hits. There's lots of videos on YouTube, Twitter, you name it, it's there. The crowd absolutely comes unglued. Final Countdown hits. It gets to a certain part, hits the chorus. The fans all sing along. And then we get the coin drop. Okada comes to the ring. And, I noticed something about Okada. He doesn't ever really look rattled in the ring. Like, ever. Just shot after shot, forearms, kicks, submission holds. He just has this look on his face. He's very cool, calm, and collected. He gets fired up at points, especially throughout this match, but realistically speaking, Okada just seems extremely calm the entire time that these kinds of matches go on.
He kind of looked pissed to me.
Did you think that? Really? Where did you think he was pissed?
At the beginning, when he was coming out.
I'll have to watch that
like
back.
He was...
I didn't notice that. Wasn't really sure as to how this match was going to start, if they were going to just lock up and exchange holds, or if they were going to try to brawl. Really wasn't sure what to make of it. But right away, they start going after each other. They start basically in a fight. Okada hits a big boot, sends Danielson over the barricade. Danielson fires off, hits a flying knee to Okada on the floor. They just start really just brawling. They finally get back into the ring. Danielson starts locking the elbow strikes and then puts the cattle mutilation on, which, man, I don't know why he doesn't use it as a finish, because I think that submission hold looks a whole lot more punishing than the label lock.
It just looks like it just sounds like it hurts.
I wonder if it's because of the amount of time that you can hold it on there. I mean, you're doing a neck bridge and holding your opponent's arms in such a way where, I mean, from a camera shot, you can really see just the view of both guys locked in the hold, but you really don't see any facial expressions. So maybe that's why it's not used.
Why would you not? I mean, why do you need the camera to see the face? Why can't you just put the hold on and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's why I said the mutilation looks like a lot more devastating than the label lock. To me, it's got to hurt worse. It already looks painful and like I said, punishing. It's got just a different vibe to it. I always figured that would be a better way to end the match, especially with what we ultimately got at the end of this one. The brawl goes to the outside. Okada hits a sharp tombstone piledriver on the outside on the ramp. And we get to a point in this matchup where Danielson just doesn't seem okay. And I'm curious as to how you felt about this. He's basically lying on his back in the ring. The referee backs Okada off. It calls for the doctor. And Danielson starts to have like convulsions, almost like a seizure. I know I was roped in hook, line, and sinker on this. I was really concerned and thought, "Oh shit, is Danielson really hurt?"
Well, I mean, if he was really hurt, you'd think they would probably stop the match, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm glad it worked, but
Yeah. So at some point during this match, Danielson hurts his arm, breaks what we would later find out breaks his forearm. Do you recall when that happened? Because I was not able to pick up on where he actually hurt it.
I found out today when you put it in, or somebody put it in the text.
So yeah, at some point, I don't know exactly what it was, but again, he hurts his arm, and he's using one arm to try to put the label lock on, and ultimately he changes it up. This just speaks to the inventiveness and the innovation of Bryan Danielson. Moves the arms around almost like a modified Rings of Saturn, and Okada actually taps out. This is the first tap out submission that Okada has suffered since 2015 when he lost to Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, that's pretty good company, I guess.
I mean, it's rare for Okada to have a loss as it is. Overall, though, I mean, this match was really good. I really enjoyed this one as well. I thought this really speaks to just how good AEW has been doing with their shows lately. And this is another great pay-per-view. I mean, $1.2 million on the gate. It's really good news for AEW right now. So I'll put the question to you guys. What did you think? How would you rank this pay-per-view for AEW, and where do you rank it?
What do you mean, rank it?
Yeah. 4-star, 5-star, 3-star, 2-star. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I thought it was good, but I don't know where to rank it. Where do you rank it?
Solid 3.5.
I was going to say 3 just because, I mean, it had great matches, but when it comes to, to me, it's great what it is. It's a great one-off pay-per-view that puts some of the world's greatest talent together, to fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the best AEW pay-per-view? I mean, I don't really think you can compare it like that because the storylines, you know what I mean? Like, and it was what it was. It was one company versus another company. I would say I was surprised that AEW won as many matches as they did. You know, I would have thought it'd be a little bit more back and forth.
Yeah, but there were a lot of matches where they had both companies in the match.
Yeah, I didn't really get the vibe of New Japan versus AEW in that sense. I mean, there were a few, but most of it was pretty well intermingled, I thought.
Yeah, and this isn't about like the two different companies going at it. This is the two companies joining together to put on a pay-per-view.
Would you say that this Forbidden Door was better than last year's, or?
No, last year's was better because Brian was there. It's just like any event's better if we're there, you know?
That's true. That's true. It always has a different look and feel to it when you're live.
I honestly think they're two separate things and can't be because the matches are different. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's easy to compare like WrestleMania versus WrestleMania because it's pretty much the same format, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All out versus all out. But Forbidden Door, it's kind of like it's that cool difference of what's going on. I feel anyway.
Well, the next pay-per-view for AEW is All In London. Well, we don't know if it's pay-per-view yet. It probably will be some way, shape, or form streamable or pay-per-view, but we haven't gotten any confirmation of it yet.
What's the day?
all into the date of that is August 27th.
Which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That is, one sec. That's a Sunday.
So I'd venture to say it's a pay-per-view. Because you're not giving away for free.
Right.
You're not going to alienate your audience. So I would imagine there's some place you'll be able to buy it. Probably BR Live.
Yeah, either BR Live or Fight TV, one or the other. Or if they finally announce their streaming deal, maybe that with Warner Discovery, perhaps on Max. But only 6 days after that is All Out, September 3rd in Chicago.
Again with Chicago. Does TK like have a vacation home in Chicago?
This one's at the United Center. I'm going to guess and say he must have some kind of a contract agreement with them or something. I think you could safely consider either Jacksonville or Chicago one of the home bases for AEW. It's where they do the best as far as attendance and before Wembley anyway. Last figure I saw, by the way, was 66,500 so far for Wembley.
You'll probably get a few more once the matches are announced.
Oh yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Post-show scrum, nothing really new came out of that. We do get a match confirmed for this week. No disqualification Texas Tornadoes style tag match. Darby and Sting against Jericho and Sammy Guevara.
This must be the end of Sammy and Jericho then.
Yeah. We got hints at it during their 6-man where Sammy didn't want to do the 630 outside, and Jericho told him he was his boss and he'll do what he says, putting his finger in his face. I was just waiting for him to slap him. That's what I was waiting for. I thought he was honestly going to slap him.
Gotta wait for Wednesday for that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Adam Cole was supposed to wrestle Tom Lawler, Filthy Tom Lawler. Was pulled from the event due to illness. At the media scrum, it was just described as the flu, and that they sent him home because they didn't want to get anybody else sick, and that was it. I said earlier in the night I was hoping that they weren't trying to cover up any kind of concussion or anything, and gathering that they say he's sick, he's sick. I don't have any reason to not believe that. Report on Kenny Omega says that he was okay after the brutal bout. He even tweeted out that he was okay, and that Ospreay was the better man, and that the title was in good hands.
All I have to say is you better be glad you don't collect New Japan titles.
Dude. They have belts for them.
Like, as soon as you get one, they change it again.
If I was to have one, it would probably be the old school IWGP World title, not the one that Sonata has now.
Oh, I like the one before this. Yeah, Brian and I were talking. He was explaining to me the belts, and I was just like, the Intercontinental belt just looks weird. But yeah, I mean, it's neat that they change things out. I mean, at least like when they change things and stuff, they make more sense than other times, other companies, you know.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the Intercontinental title. I'm just trying to look and see who's the current champion.
And it's Zack Sabre.
No, he's the New Japan World TV champion. Oh, I guess it was unified. Okay, so it was unified with the world title in 2021. Huh. What do you know?
I knew that. I'm just kidding. I didn't.
Last champion on record was Kota Ibushi.
Pleasure.
I was kind of surprised we didn't see Kota Ibushi last night.
But
They didn't really lay any groundwork for it, though. It wasn't like, I mean, Callis interfered a little, like he gave him the screwdriver, but ultimately that doesn't end up being too much of a catalyst for the end. I mean, Omega still kicks out of the One-Winged Angel after that, so it ended up being of very little consequence. So there wasn't really a reason for Ibushi to come out, except if they had maybe done an attack after the match or something.
I mean, it just furthers their storyline with AEW and the AEW TV, where he had the screwdriver. Yeah. You know, that's pretty much what that's about. I mean, does Don Callis have a big presence on New Japan?
No.
No, I was gonna say only.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because didn't he come from like Ring of Honor or Impact or something?
He was at Impact doing like producer work and commentary, and he was I don't know if what they call it, maybe a VP there, and then he left. That's really all of the AEW news as far as from the pay-per-view and everything. Fight Forever is out this week. As a matter of fact, 2 days. 2 days. Fight Forever will release on PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox. The Elite Edition, of course, has their Backstage Pass, which is all the downloadable DLCs. If you did the pre-order for it, you get just the Matt Hardys, so you get Broken Matt and regular Matt. There was some chatter during the post-show scrum that Tony Khan said that he didn't want to announce anything as far as what was happening with All In until the launch of Fight Forever. So I'm going to say that we'll probably hear something this week, whether it's Collision or Dynamite, regarding potential airing or a broadcast of All In after that launch. Chris Hero is backstage doing some coaching with AEW. Looks like he is doing kind of a producer role there. He says that he is not retired, but he is just choosing his matches more sporadically. I'd like to see him and maybe CM Punk one more time. Of course, their rivalry from the early 2000s has a legend all by itself. If you look it up for Ring of Honor and IWA Mid-South, they had some awesome matches back in the day. So I wouldn't mind seeing a throwback to that.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked him in his stint that he had with NXT when he first came, and the stuff I'd seen before that, but he was definitely underutilized. And the unfortunate part is he's one of those that I feel like, you know how we've talked in the past about there's certain people that get under contract and then their prime is gone while they're not being used.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so kind of feel like he falls into that category.
There was a report going into Forbidden Door that Omega and CM Punk were, and I have no idea where this report came from. I just saw people talking about it. But apparently Omega and CM Punk were positioned at opposite sides of the building and I guess kept away from each other.
And that happens a lot in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I've known actors in TV shows that have to have their trailer on the other side of the set from the other actors on the show because they can't stand them.
Well, at the end of the day, it just comes back to needing to have the ability to be professional and to make money on television. And that after that, you don't have to be buddies.
Business is business. But also, it also helps feed the storyline if there's anything there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's all I got as far as big newsworthy stuff. We got Money in the Bank coming this Saturday. I don't know how closely, if closely at all, you guys have been following the build for that.
I will say that this men's Money in the Bank is shaping up to be very interesting because there's a lot of people on it that I wouldn't suspect would get a cash in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of just,
Right now, we've got 7 matches on the card. The men's Money in the Bank match is Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch, also known as Pete Dunne, and Damian Priest and Logan Paul. On the women's side of things, we got Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus.
it's going to be Becky Lynch or Trish Stratus. On the guy's side, I would like to see either Ricochet or Shinsuke Nakamura, but I have this sinking feeling it's going to be freaking Logan Paul.
I guess it all depends on the Zoom meeting before the show. If Vince wants to see Logan Paul do it, or if he pulls the wool over everyone's eyes and gives it to Butch.
And you know what Butch should do? Butch doesn't cash in. Pete Dunne cashes in.
I really do wish they'd just go back to calling him Pete Dunne. It's really annoying to see them get their names changed. We know it's for merchandising and all that stuff, but it's so stupid.
But that's stupid. That's a stupid theory. To have like, oh, it's merchandising, because you've already gotten their merch with NXT, and you've already got a following. So wouldn't you want the following to follow them to the main roster?
I mean, Vince has proven time and time again that he doesn't follow any of the normal logic that everyone else would follow. I mean, look what he did to Shinsuke Nakamura. Look at what he did to Bobby Roode. I mean, well, hell, look what he did to EC3.
I don't care about EC3. He's the Punk. EC, no.
Cody Rhodes and Dominic Mysterio. I don't. All I can say is that what's going to happen here is Cody's going to look like he's going to win. Brock's going to come to the ring, and we'll get Brock and Cody at SummerSlam. Boo.
I feel like they're trying to, like, because everybody made that thing about that belt being, that's the Cody belt, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like, they're doing the total opposite right now of, like, oh, yeah, well, we're going to put Cody in all these pointless matches. And then WWE didn't help with the whole Dom versus Ray, you know? Because if you watch the Hidden Treasure show, like, Dom walks right into Ray. Hey, Dad. Hey, buddy. Going, what happened to the fourth wall, people?
Well, we don't know how far in advance that show was taped, so.
Just reminded me of the Duggar Sheik thing.
The World Heavyweight title on the line. Seth Rollins defending against Finn Balor. Balor's been just attacking Seth Rollins every single week. He attacked him on NXT when he was defending against Braun Breaker. By the way, if you were wondering how that match was, save yourself the time. It wasn't very good. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler defending the women's tag titles against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And Gunther is defending the Intercontinental Championship against Matt Riddle. And then what they'll probably tote as the main event, the Bloodline Civil War. The Usos taking on Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. So even if Cody was to win Money in the Bank, and that's a big if, because he's not even in the ladder match, but even if Cody had been booked for that, it's not going to matter because now the Bloodline's already crumbling, and it's crumbling from within. We got the Usos and Reigns and Solo. So they basically boxed out everybody else. That is some boring shit. Took the hottest storyline of the year in WWE as the Bloodline, and then you had an opportunity to do something different, well, expected but different at WrestleMania. You're probably working towards getting to WrestleMania 40 in Philly. I mean, Roman having the title to WrestleMania 40, sure, but is it really going to matter as much as it would have this past year? I don't think so.
I don't pay no attention. I don't watch WWE.
Well, I mean, you got to think everybody was. It's the age-old story, you know. We've all been hoping to kill the Bloodline for years, you know. Like every pay-per-view, you're like, oh, this is gonna be, and then it's not, and so finally they do it, and of course they do it in the dumbest fashion, you know. it's just another way for them not to have to bring somebody to fight Roman, and extends his reign. Because he's still and like I was asking, like what's the point? They unveiled this new title, like not the one Seth has, but the one that they gave Roman. And wasn't the whole purpose of that to retire the other two belts?
Yeah, but he still has them. Like he still carries them around.
Right, Paul Heyman still carries them. Like, is Paul Heyman just that old that he's forgotten that? Oh, wait a minute, well, I'm not supposed to have those. Are they waiting to pull a Road Dogg Jesse James and like steal it? I mean, because that's my funniest thing when watching that Hidden Treasure show when they went to his house and he's got the tag title sitting in the shadow box, like in the curio cabinet, and they're like, "Wow!" And so Mick Foley's like, "It'd be really neat to have something like this to put in the collection." And he goes, "Well, technically, I don't know if the WWE knows I have it anyway."
Right. I may or may not have procured it from a friend.
And he goes, "Since I'm not supposed to have it anyway, yeah, you all can have it back."
It's a quiet week for wrestling outside of the pay-per-view. Not really too much happening. Collision, another solid week of Collision. I didn't watch Raw last week. Maybe a few bits and pieces.
So is Collision CM Punk show?
So it's weird. So at one point there was a rumor going around that they were actually going to do a brand split. And now Tony Khan's dispelled that and said, no, we're not going to do a hard brand split. It's just another show, another content piece. So there was a question during the media scrum last night where it was asked about, are you doing a brand split? Are you not? Punk was seen on Dynamite. And basically, Tony just says, hey, he was in town. It made sense to have him come out. That's what we did. So he didn't really confirm or deny it. He just basically just says, nope, it just made sense for him to be there.
Who is this again?
CM Punk. Tony Khan is the one that was questioned
about. Well, I mean, Tony Khan could also have said, well, I'm paying him to be there, so I'm going to use him because I got to pay him.
Right.
And it just furthers their whole thing. I think that CM Punk is now replacing Cody Rhodes as the AEW figure bitch. Because, like, he wears different trunks every week. And so it's just more figures,
Mm-hmm.
Which Stan's happy.
Well, they've got like 7 or 8 different waves coming out here in the next few months. There's a ton of different figures coming out.
Stan's just happy to have all the CM Punk figures. He's waiting for the big mannequin size.
That's just weird.
You're going to be that dude that's on that Hidden Treasure show that has the mannequin set up with the wrestling outfits on it.
No.
You're going to be that guy. But it's all going to be CM Punk's clothes.
Couldn't be me. I could never do that.
Oh, it will be you.
I could display belts or something, but like I couldn't see like having full-on mannequins showing like ring-worn gear and stuff like that. And more power to these guys that collect them. I mean, I get it. It's something cool to collect, but I couldn't do it. Was it one guy? Was it Bret Hart stuff that the one guy had? Like full-on, like all of his tights and boots and like, dude. How did you get
the tights that Bret Hart
stuff?
kept saying, I never gave any of my green jackets or ring boots away, and that guy had them all?
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this past week's Dark Side of the Ring. Kind of a tough watch. One about Matt Bourne. Always knew he was a tough guy and definitely an ornery sumbitch. I did not know there was questions as to actually how he died. I did not know that was a thing.
I haven't finished it yet. Thanks for ruining it.
Sorry.
Way to go.
Spoiler alert, I guess. Sorry, Brian.
It's all right. I'll still finish.
I watched the Magnum TA one last week.
What did you think about that one?
I mean, I thought it was well done. I thought it scratched the surface of a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Went in depth with some other things. Like I didn't know anything about his wife, and how they interviewed her. And she's just like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm done. Bye. But then it made me wonder has anybody ever asked the question about Jimmy Garvin? Because he and Jimmy Garvin were having such great matches leading up to this world title run. Would that have then meant Jimmy Garvin would have gotten a shot at the belt after Magnum TA had it?
Quite possibly.
I mean, just think of all the careers that could have changed. But, that one freak accident. And I always thought he was speeding, but it said he wasn't.
Well, he says he was driving pretty quick. He had the need for speed, as he said, and overcorrected. It ended up flipping his vehicle. Did it happen? Was it in Virginia Beach that it happened?
No, I think it was down near where he was at. Because it killed me as a fan, because I was big on Magnum TA, and it was just like, no. I like Nikita Koloff during it,
Yeah, it gives a really good insight on Nikita and just how he was positioned. And that you said Jimmy Garvin. I wonder how that would have happened if Magnum won that title. Wonder what the feud would have been like with him and Nikita for the world title.
Oh, see, USA versus Russia?
Yeah.
That'd have been a whole different level of, like, Hogan versus Slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Bret Hart versus Yokozuna,
Do you think guys like Luger and Sting would have had the roles they had if Magnum had made it?
I'm sorry, I was looking at something else. What?
Well, Magnum TA in the time that this whole thing is getting planned is late 86 into 87. So I just started thinking about it. Do you think that guys like Lex Luger and Sting would have had the roles they had if Magnum TA had made it to the championship?
So, didn't you listen to Magnum? Magnum said himself he was only going to do a year run with that title because he was going to be 30, and he
didn't want to be running around in his underwear.
Mm-hmm. So everything after that probably would have stayed the same, other than the size of the company, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to give credit to the Crockett's and to the company to actually keep him involved, you know, and trying to figure out angles to kind of help him get involved and stay involved and keep money coming in. But I was really happy to grab a Magnum TA figure. That was awesome. And to have it autographed by the one Magnum TA is even better.
This week's episode is about the Junkyard Dog. That should be a good one.
I don't know if I remember. I don't remember. don't remember if I knew that Magnum got his name from Andre.
I think that was something I had learned just from this episode. I didn't know that before. I certainly didn't know that when he was coming up, when he was being trained, it was only a few days, and then they put him on TV. Like, damn, talk about a savant.
Yeah, but a young Scott Hall could have been his twin almost.
Yeah, well, that he was Magnum Scott Hall for a bit. Ugh.
Just they all came from that one area of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. What a class of wrestlers, dude. Think about it. You got Ric Flair, you got the Gagnes, you got, I mean, just a bunch of superstars in that group.
The Road Warriors.
Yep.
Magnum. Then Ronnie Garvin.
I thought Garvin came up out of the Carolinas. Did he come out of Minnesota?
He might have. Barry Darso came from that area.
Mm-hmm.
The man of the man of 1,000 gimmicks. The Russian Demolition Repo Band.
He was a golfer. He was the Blacktop Bully.
That was your favorite.
The Blacktop Bully.
Yeah.
I hated that gimmick. I hated all of it after Demolition. I'm like, come on, man. The Repo Man. That was dumb.
He was one of the first that I remember like changing multiple gimmicks. Like I remember seeing him as Demolition. But then it wasn't until I started rewatching, Bash 86, Starrcade 86 that I was like, holy crap, he's also Crusher Khrushchev. Like what?
One of these days we'll have to do like a look at Demolition, talk about their career or something. I always liked them.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if we can figure out a wrestler and figure out how many gimmicks they had.
It's got to be between him and John Tenta for the most gimmicks and nicknames. The Avalanche, the Shark, Earthquake.
Well, then you got Typhoon, Tugboat,
Bruce Beefcake, and he had a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah.
The Disciple, the Booty Man, the Zodiac, the Barber.
Didn't say they're all winners. Yeah. But I never, as a kid, you watch these wrestlers come in and Vince made them into these cartoon characters or these characters. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until years later that I was like, that was Steve Kern? That was, holy. I mean, obviously, Chainsaw Charlie, you got to be blind not to know that was Terry Funk. You know what I mean? But.
Well, guys, that's what I had for this week.
Well, fine then.
Must be some kind of a storm rolling in. This dog is driving me nuts. What the hell?
Oh, it's been lightning up here for a while.
Has it?
It has. Been lightning and storming.
Well, like I said, we got Money in the Bank this weekend and Collision and everything. I don't know of any messages. I don't know of any matches that have been announced for Saturday. Just the tag match for Wednesday. So we will.
And I know none of you all are NASCAR fans, but I think that they're racing in Chicago on the street course for the first time.
Hey, everybody likes Chicago. There should be an AEW car for Chicago.
CM Punk's going to be there. He's racing the number 2
He's going to
car.
drive.
Yep.
All right. Catch up with your boys on the Twitter bot. Rob can be found at Rob Hefner C2C. Brian can be called at Vlad Dragul C2C. That's VLADDRAGOOL C2C. And I'm at Stan Grubb C2C, and the show is C2C Radio Show, and of course C2CRadioshow.com. Have a great week. We'll catch up with you next time. Good night, everybody.